So today we're going to be reacting to an ESPN article, and it is basically about the 11 things that have the WNBA at the point they're at right now. I really hope the WNBA players are not crazy enough to actually cancel the season. I think they know, like, based on the reaction of the players and the way they're speaking about it right now, and the kind of panic almost that feels like is in their voices, it does seem like it's going to be a big thing. It does seem like there's going to be something. Someone's got to give. And I do feel like the WNBA, part of the reason why they were ignoring a lot of the requests from the WNBPA is they want to see how Unrivaled did. And with Unrivaled viewership tanking, it gives the players less leverage. It does. And in Project B, I don't know what the hell's happening in Project B. Like, Project B is a really interesting situation as well. But anyway, let's take a look here. So, 3 months after the end of the season, they remain at an impasse. But obviously, WNBA PA agreed with groundbreaking CBA on January 14, 2020. But like, the problem is that they're looking for this groundbreaking CBA, and there never will be this groundbreaking CBA. If we're being completely honest, there's never going to be a groundbreaking CBA for the reason that, for the big reason that they sold off a bunch of leagues. Hard to get a groundbreaking CBA when they sold the league. It says here, delivered significant salary increases. By the way, before that, as far as I'm aware, it was genuinely a, 100K, I think. I think that's what they're getting playing. Prioritization meant they had to be there for training camp. That fucked over a lot of players. That did fuck over a lot of players. They were late to training camp. They were done. I think with prioritization is going to be a thing now. And obviously the bubble season happened. The WNBA would not exist if they didn't show up to the bubble. I don't think they wanted to. But at the same time, like, they showed up to the bubble, which I think was kind of a crazy one. Obviously the Atlanta Dream being forced to be sold. And this is the big thing. This capital raise announcement, this is what's fucked the league. They brought in 75 million. Had they known what was coming, they would have never made this deal. Or this would have been 700 million. I'm not joking when I say this. 700 million is closer to the value of that 18% equity, or 16% equity right now. So like 16% is like 2 teams. Yeah, it's worth about 700 million. Some critics have since called out Engelbert for undervaluing the deal at the time of the deal, but in hindsight, it's 2020. At the time, the league needed cash, and the sport was still a few years away from exploding. Ironically, I think I looked at things at the time. Apparently, people said that these investors overvalued the WNBA. And this is worth about 700 million now. But at the time, people didn't even deem it to be worth. People thought that there was an overspend. The Liberty fine for illicit charity. This is the most bullshit thing away. This is the most bullshit thing in the league. Because, by the way, if you guys don't know, the owner of, I almost said Peter Lim, Joe Tsai. Peter Lim is the Valencia owner. Joe Tsai, he had his own private jet and he used it to fly his team. And he owned the team. And they nearly made him sell his team. Including unsanctioned team trip to Napa, California. The owner fund wanted to just bring his team on a trip. So he nearly had to sell his team. Joe Tsai signaled that newer, wealthier owners, i.e. the billionaire owners, were willing to invest more in their franchises, and those that did not would have to find ways to keep up, whether the league is catering more to its ownership scene or its ownership floor. They cater to its ownership floor. They always have, and that's the biggest problem. Because I can guarantee you, Joe Tsai, Herb Simon, these people are okay. Are absolutely okay when it comes down to it, with what the players are offering. It's just the others. The Aces Kickstart Facilities race, yeah, the Aces did a good job with that. New wave of WNBA expansion begins. Obviously with Golden State in 2023. The thing is, Golden State only paid 50 million. It's going to cost about 300 million to get in. And good for historic 18 teams by 2030. I mean, the league has to exist by then. In the 2 years since Golden State were awarded expansion fees rose from 50 million to 250 million. 250 million, by the way, that's the expansion fees. And do you know how much it's going to cost to buy the Connecticut Sun? Because the tribe won't sell for less than what the state of Connecticut are offering, which is $300 million. So and the WNBA want you to pay an additional $150 million. It's $450 million to buy the Connecticut Sun, which no one's going to pay. And thank you, ESPN. Thank you, ESPN, for actually admitting it. They actually admitted it here. Caitlin Clark drafted into the WNBA as a key reason for where we are right now. Like, thank you for admitting it. Thank you. Like, this isn't, like, why do we have to, like, I'm not, like, no one's saying Caitlin Clark is the best player in the history of WNBA. Nobody's saying, most people aren't saying Caitlin Clark is the best player in the WNBA. Nobody's saying that Caitlin Clark is better than X, Y, and Z player, unless that player is Paige Bueckers, who she's clearly better than. Nobody's arguing that, like, well, I would say no one's arguing she's bigger in the league, but she is bigger in the league. But the people that are arguing that, you know, oh, Caitlin Clark isn't the reason why the players have leverage, she is. She is. Like, literally, Caitlin Clark got drafted, and there was so much of a public frenzy around her when she was walking through the airport with the Fever team that charter flights league-wide got brought in. Charter flights, like, genuinely got brought in. So it's one of those things where it's like nearly everything about what's happening now doesn't happen. The players would have already signed a CBA deal. The owners would have fucked them over. The players would have signed a CBA deal. If it wasn't for Caitlin Clark, the players might be making $500K a year max contracts, and the players would have been happy and signed a CBA deal. Or they'd be making $300K with charter flights. Like, that's the reality of the situation. The players would have signed a CBA deal if it wasn't for the fact that, like, it wasn't for Caitlin Clark. This would already be signed. I have to be honest here. Carlton, she was the driving force towards popularity. Other college stars such as 2024 draftee Angel Reese and Paige Bueckers also brought significant followings. Very true. Very true. Caitlin Clark was sort of the rising tide that lifted all boats. The epic WNBA finals between the Liberty and Minnesota were the most viewed in 25 years. And if you guys don't know, they were way more viewed, even with the ratings being skewed. Post 2025, where you add 25% extra, the finals this year had significantly lower viewership than last year's as a whole. The league's newfound growth and attention featured growing pains among major flashpoints. Engelbert came under fire and eventually apologized, failing to condemn the interview racist and misogynistic rhetoric from fans about the rivalry. Like, that is I will never understand why Kathy Engelbert had to apologize. I will never understand why they called out Kathy Engelbert. Kathy Engelbert is on TV to promote her league, and she's basically promoting her league, and she's just talking about the good things about the league, and they're basically trying to bait her into saying something. They tried to bait her. They tried to not talk about basketball. She wants to talk about basketball. They're trying to not talk about basketball and trying to talk about the bullshit racism thing. And she basically goes, I mean, rivalry is good for sports, which is a factually correct statement. Just because she didn't want to play into the bullshit racist narrative of this activist league that pretends that means more than the basketball, which, by the way, is a big reason why they're in this position right now. No. Like, I genuinely think she barely said anything wrong. Yeah, obviously all the racist shit's wrong. Everybody knows that. But if we decide to not talk about the basketball and only focus on the racist shit, then it's only going to get worse, because, unfortunately, Kathy Engelbert going on social media saying racism's bad is not going to change anything. This is not about Ravery's iconic personality fueling business model, the director said. This kind of toxic fan should never be tolerated or unchecked. What the fuck is Kathy Engelbert meant to do? It demands immediate action. What the fuck is Kathy Engelbert supposed to do? This is the big problem. Like, they were without growing pains. Why can you not? Why? Basically, the more you add in 1 million new fans, 1,000 of them are going to be bad. 1% of fans are going to be bad. It's just they made it that 1,000 of those fans were absolutely the biggest thing. So, through Kathy Engelbert called it the monumental at the time. Jackson expressed concern of whether the NBA properly valued the WNBA in negotiations. We look forward to hearing how the NBA arrived at $200 million valuation, because the NBA decided to, at the time it was an overvalue. Right now it's an undervalue. Like, it's one of those things with the deal where it was like, based on the 2023 figures, 200 million a year was a drastic overvalue. Based on the 2024 figures, it was an undervalue. And the problem is, for this to be an undervalue, every single Caitlin Clark game has to be on national TV. And for this to be an undervalue, every Caitlin Clark, Paige Bueckers, Angel Reese, Aces, and Liberty game has to be on national TV, and put none of any of the other games. No other game for any other team should be on national TV. Those teams. Whatever team Angel's on, Fever, Wings, Liberty, Aces. You put those 5 teams, every single game they play on national TV. The other 10 teams in the league not on national TV. Then it's an underevaluation. If you want this equality, calling out the league, calling out the networks for putting the Fever on national TV, which they did. They literally came out and said it was bullshit that the Fever on national TV. Then this is in fact an overvaluation. Players opting out of the previous CBA, absolutely the right thing to do. It was bullshit. Unrivaled launches, I'm just putting it out there based on Unrivaled's viewership numbers right now. Based on Unrivaled's viewership numbers, like, not good. Like, not good. Like, across TNT and True TV. On 2 channels at the same time. They put it on 2 channels. It's down like 60% on last year. Its entirety. It's not good. It's not good. But Unrivaled, if nothing else, Unrivaled is losing players' leverage with how badly it's going right now. Project B, again, I don't think that it really matters, because like Unrivaled are paying players $200K. The WNBA are offering players $500K on average. Unrivaled's not affecting that. Pay us what you owe us for the All-Star game. I like the fallout with Kathy Engelbert. This is one of the biggest problems, is that, and this is one of the things in the public. And by the way, I think a lot of people in the public, some people have no interest in WNBA. A lot of people in the public want the WNBA players to get paid more, like me, but will also admit that this bullshit, that they decided to turn this into a personal back and forth between Fee and Kathy, is never going to end productively. So yeah, that is pretty much it. Obviously, these were the things. The main factor to where we are right now is Caitlin Clark brought in a load of new fans. Those load of new fans are watching games, and players are seeing how much money the league is bringing in because of Caitlin Clark. Want a bit of that money, and will want Caitlin Clark out of the league until it uses them. It's used in their favor. Then we'll name drop Caitlin Clark consistently. Try to get their way, and we'll go back to continuing and saying we don't want those fans, and then those fans are the reason why they're getting the money. And yeah, it's going to be a fucking circle for another 2.5 months till they eventually sign the CBA. Hopefully they get paid millions of dollars, because with the amount of viewership on this league, they absolutely deserve millions of dollars. But anyway, I'll see you guys.